Hi, I'm Amanda.
And I'm Allison.
Welcome to another episode of Simply Sapphic.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Simply Sapphic. And this is part 3 of our dating series with other Amanda. Amanda, we have our very first guest, and it's going to be kind of confusing because we have Amanda DeFrees, which we will be referring to as other Amanda. Yes. If you listen back to episode number 1, you're going to get the Easter egg with other Amanda.
This is true. So, okay, let's do a quick introduction because we're friends, but we obviously, listeners don't know Amanda yet. So let's do a quick introduction. So Amanda is the host of her own podcast called Femme Forte / our podcast mentor for this podcast. If you listen to our very first episode, we mentioned a mysterious Amanda. This is Amanda.
This is the mysterious Amanda. If you're watching on YouTube, ta-da.
Yes. And Amanda's an incredible drummer for your band.
Panic at the Disco.
It's not Panic at the Disco. Yes, Panic at the Disco.
Anxious at the Disco.
Anxious at the Disco. Yeah. I was like, it's the
Panic at the Disco. I'm like, that seems so real.
Panic at the Disco is a band.
I know. Amanda is now the drummer for Panic at the Disco.
I wish.
That would be crazy. That'd be awesome. You are a really good friend of ours. Should we go into how we met?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
We had a whole episode about making friends, and we forgot to mention Facebook groups.
Yep.
Yeah.
The infamous Facebook groups. So at the time, I was dating another partner, and we wanted to make other queer friends. So there's a Facebook group called the Lesbians of Austin on Facebook, and so me and my partner at the time had joined it, and then we just put a post out with our pictures saying, hey, it's me and so we're looking for more queer friends in the area. This is the things that we're interested in. We love going out, we love music, we love art and everything. Anybody match our vibe? Let's get some coffee and see if we vibe. And Allison and Amanda commented on our post, and then we kind of met, and since then that relationship has dwindled, but I've been very, very grateful to remain really great friends.
We got told we were too loud at the brunch spot upon first meeting.
We were having a great time.
We were laughing so hard, and somebody had a worker had to come up, and they were like, ladies, love this for you. Too loud.
It was the first time I think I've ever been reprimanded in a restaurant. And it was a great moment for me. I was like, I think I've lived now that I've been told to shut up at a brunch spot. This is we were at a it was a cafe in a hotel, but it was like a fancy hotel. And so going to this place, we were laughing so hard.
They couldn't handle the queer joy.
Honestly.
It was overflowing.
And as someone, I know I can talk loud sometimes, but I know how to use my inside voice. And so the fact that we were just reveling in the queer joy and having a good time and being able to connect, also for a first time meeting each other, which was insane. I think I'm pretty sure those people probably thought we had been friends forever, but really it was just our first time.
Yeah, meeting. It was like, hi, oh my goodness, what is your name again?
Yes.
100%. Yeah. So
yes,
good.
no, truly. But it was so fun. And then obviously we were there with another couple. So There was 6 of us at this table just cracking up. But literally Allison and we got into our car and we were like, we love Amanda and her partner so much. And so we've just been hanging out ever since. So it's been awesome. Thank you for being our very first guest on the show.
Of course. And
helping us set up. Literally, okay, Amanda came in here and immediately went, no. And fixed all of our lighting.
And also, let it be known, Amanda, will text at 10 p.m. and Amanda's so real. And it's I'm coming over to your house to help you with editing. And just absolutely a total real one. So thank you for all your help.
Yeah, I'm definitely, as someone who's been a media professional and been doing it for a long time, I love offering help and insight. And as someone who really supports y'all's podcast and what you're doing, I love helping my friends, especially when they make projects that really matter.
That's always helpful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yay. Okay. So today we are kicking off our 3rd part in our dating series. So our first part was how to flirt with girls.
Totally.
/ any sapphic person. And our second part was how to create a queer dating profile.
And now we're venturing off into if you don't want to be dating online, dating off the apps. Featuring second Amanda.
Yes, dating off the apps. Oh my gosh, it's been quite a journey. And it truly has only started the beginning of this year. Because most of the people know, I am very much, or I used to be very much on the apps. I had Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, Her, you name it, Tammy at one point. And
Tammy!
Forgot about Tammy.
Yeah, and so I've been through the ringer. Oh, and to include Facebook dating.
No, you didn't.
You did Facebook dating?
Yes.
Wait, okay, I really want to know what that's like. I've never even been on it. Is it like a swiping experience?
Wait, can I say what I thought it was? Because I thought it was like Facebook Marketplace meets dating. like that is what I thought the setup would be. Like you would be like, I'm looking for local non-delivery.
No, I actually will say Facebook dating has become more popular probably within the last year, but it did exist a couple of years ago, I think, and I was on and off of it. It has gotten a lot better in terms of you are able to put in prompts and put in more customizations for your profile. The weird thing, though, is that
Mark Zuckerberg comes in.
I immediately run.
The weird thing is that when I first started on Facebook dating, or recently had started on Facebook dating like 6 months ish ago, was that they had this thing called Lucky Pick where the algorithm would not show you women and other sapphic people, because those are my preferences, in your area. It would be like Nebraska,
What?
California, and Mexico.
They're like, you're so gay. We know what it's like to be gay, so we're gonna make the LDR real.
Right, exactly. I really thought that Facebook wanted me to have a long distance relationship because there's these beautiful people on my profile, and then as soon as I would see their location, I was like, darn it.
That is so funny. They're like, we know y'all love to U-Haul. We're for the gays. Send it.
Truly and honestly. With that being said, I mean, it's kind of like Tinder in a way where you would message and then you could have the option, I believe, to send your phone number or your Facebook profile if you want to take the conversation off of the Facebook dating side, because obviously for people to have the Facebook dating, you need to have a Facebook profile, but you're not able to necessarily look them up unless they give you access to their, Facebook profile link. But I needless to say, I don't think I've ever met anybody through Facebook dating. So it was like one of the bottom of the totem pole kind of thing.
Well, I don't think I've ever met anybody to do Facebook dating. So thank you for being the first. Yeah,
it's truly an honor.
Do we need to get you a plaque? Like, I don't know.
Like the YouTube plaques they send off, be like, Facebook dating user.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Survived it.
So with that being said, of using all the apps, being without the apps has really taught me a lot. One, I mean, my decision to get off the apps was, I'm sure most people can agree with me, I was just tired of it.
Yeah.
As the one, you get into a routine, kind of like mindlessly doom scrolling, where you're just kind of swiping and you're not really caring much into reading the profile. You just kind of look at their pictures, and that's not necessarily as far as my dating experience or how I approach dating now. Like, I want to intentionally date, so I'm being a lot more picky, and I'm not trying to be like, oh, do I find this person hot or not? There has to be some substance to it. But I will say, since starting, dating without apps, personal growth wise, I've made a lot of improvement. And I prefer this experience because I think it pushes me more outside of my comfort zone as opposed to the apps. And a great example is what I went through last night.
Oh my God.
Please.
Okay.
We have been waiting all day.
Literally, we saw this on Amanda's, this story that you're about to get right now, we saw on Amanda's Instagram story. And I was like, I have to know this. And then I was like, wait, I don't want to hear about this story until the podcast episode. So I'm literally like,
We've been bubbling all day.
Tell us.
Yes. So
set the stage.
There is this event called Pitch a Friend, and it did not start in Austin. I actually found out last night that it started in Philly, but they have branched out to Austin in different cities. And this event, 100 plus, 200 plus people show up to a venue, and there's about 10 presentations where
Did you say 200 plus people?
Yes, there's a lot of people.
For someone with like a moderate amount of social anxiety, that seems thrilling and terrifying. at the same time.
Exactly. And so essentially you have about 10 presentations, and it's people's friends literally giving like an Apple keynote PowerPoint presentation on why you should date their friend.
Hell yes.
And
I'm
so
obsessed.
therefore it's pitch a friend. You have about 2 to 3 minutes to do it, but it's a pretty decent amount of time because a lot of people had 6 or 7 slides, and it kind of covers the basics of, this is my friend, this is how old they are, this is what they're looking for, these are their hobbies and what they're interested in, here's an ideal first date. And so it was really interesting because Pitch a Friend had their first ever queer event, I believe, in Austin yesterday.
Nuh-uh.
So you
Okay.
are the part of the first queer
Yes.
iteration of this.
The debut,
Yes.
Amanda DeFrees.
Yes.
I'm obsessed with this. Okay,
Who
so
pitched you?
Yes. So it's my friend Dan. I love him so dearly. He's like one of the only straight male friends in my life. But it was so great. It's so funny because we dress the same, and I tell him he looks like a lesbian all the time.
we love an ally.
We love
who
an
dresses like
ally.
a
Come
lesbian.
on, Dan the
Yes,
ally.
Yes, dear Dan the ally.
But yeah, he's so great, and he made this pitch about me, and he showcased my dog. He even made an acronym that said A is for Amanda. Amanda is gay. She went to this school. She has a dog. M is for media director. She's a media director. And on top of that, she has a podcast. And A, here's another A. She's just amazing. And then when it got to the D,
Oh God.
Oh God.
when it got to the D,
He couldn't go for drum, could he?
he did.
Oh,
Okay,
thank God.
thank God.
I was like, oh
I
my
thought this
God.
was gonna be a gay thing.
No, when he went, well, here's the thing, is he said D, drummer, and of course all the women were like, woo, oh my gosh. That's normally the hook line for me, is I tell people I'm a drummer, and then
It's
women
sexy.
go, oh, that's so hot.
Yes, it's fun as fuck. And you post these incredible reels on your Instagram that I literally watch on, like, it's like behind the scenes drum cam for your Anxious at the Disco band,
Yes.
and I'm like, look at this.
I think this is us pitching Amanda.
This is us pitching Amanda.
This is 2.0 of that.
Segue. If you're single, Amanda is single.
I am very much single.
Okay, so he got to the D.
So he got to the D, and he's like, drummer, and all the women were like, woo. And then I think the line he said, so if you ever come to one of Amanda's shows, she'll have your body moving and shaking before you even meet her. And
stop.
And some people I heard, because I was in the crowd as he was pitching me, they're like, ooh, okay.
They're like, I'm
Damn.
already moving.
Right. So that was hilarious, and he has like so many like dad jokes in there, that being one of them. And then he didn't say this at the presentation. I wish he would have, but when he was giving me the presentation, he was doing this bunch of rhyming things like, make sure before you say bye, you say hi to Amanda. And the last thing he was supposed to say was, don't pass on Amanda's ass.
Oh,
But he said, don't pass on Amanda. I was like, you could have said my ass.
Boo. Don't pass on Amanda's ass.
Wow.
That should be.
That's gonna be the subline for this podcast. Like,
I'm dead. I'm literally dead.
Yeah.
So did you know that this, like, you knew his presentation?
Yes, part of the rules is that the friend that is pitching you has to tell the friend before the event. So
I feel that that's wise.
yes.
Yes.
So I actually think I'm the one that's ended up sending him the event, being like, oh, I think I'm going to go to this. Like, this seems really fun. And then he messaged me saying, do you want me to pitch you? And I was like, I mean, maybe. So I did take him up on that offer. And then I think it was like a month that he spent on this PowerPoint. And it was, like I said, he's a very sweet friend of mine. And he really put a lot of good work into the presentation. And luckily I did get some people coming up to me, which actually really helped, because as someone who does have a little bit of social anxiety, I am so terrible going up to people. And, you know, we can talk about this, especially in queer dating, but one, it's like, do I know if this person is queer? And then two, I don't want to be like the typical, you know, dude that like goes up and tries to flirt with everybody or be very invasive. So that's something that I've really worked on in confidence building. I literally yesterday, at the event, I saw this really cute girl, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go up to her and be like, hi, this is really hard for me, but I just wanted to say you're cute, and leave.
You have the audacity.
I
You have the
did.
audacity.
And I love that you, like, acknowledged that. Did you literally say, hi, this is really hard for me?
I did.
I love that. And how did she react?
she was like, oh, hey. And we like had some conversation, some back and forth. And she was like, oh, I just moved to Austin and this is my name. And anyway, I need to work on being like, oh, like, do you want to connect on Instagram or something? That's something I'm really bad at. I did not do that, but I kind of kept the conversation, just small chat. And I was like, well, I hope you have a great rest of your night.
But that's baby steps. That's like that's so big because that's so scary to do. And I think it really helps show us that like people are nicer than we expect.
Yeah.
And and that vulnerability being like, hi, I'm scared, but you're hot. Right?
Yeah.
Like worked out really well. That's so sweet.
But I feel like that opener of, hey, this is really scary for me, is immediately, if that happened to me, I feel like I would immediately be like, oh, like not intrusive, not scary, not I don't know.
I think it would put me in a place where like my walls would be down and
Yeah.
I'd want to make it a positive experience for the both of us.
Yeah.
Yes.
As
opposed to just going up and being like, you're really hot, have my number. I'd be like, you know what I mean? And so I really like admit where you are if you're going to approach somebody. I would love to like, okay, so we love this topic for you specifically because like whenever we hang out, we just get like so much tea, right? And like you're in it, you're dating, you're doing all this stuff. And obviously like Allison and I are not single. And so I would love to like walk us through like what you do. Like when you see somebody,
like what pep talks are you giving yourself?
Yeah. Oh,
how did
so
you
many.
build this confidence? Because it takes a lot of confidence.
Yeah. Oh, I will say, backtracking just a little bit, there was a Femmes and Thems event, I think like last month. And that was the first time I actually did it. So this was technically the Pitch a Friend event was the second time I did it. So I did have a really positive experience the first time, which really helped. So even at the Femmes and Thems event, I did see this girl, and I luckily went with my friend Gabby that was with me at the time, and I was kind of she was kind of my hype woman of like, I should talk to her. She's like, you should. And I was like, no, I really shouldn't. What if they think I'm weird? And then she was like, no, you only live once. Like, you got this. And so
everybody needs a
go,
friend
Gabby,
like that.
go.
Right.
Everybody.
And so it really took, and that's what helped me too, is that it really took someone else being with me instead of me kind of reveling in my thoughts to like give me that extra oomph to be able to approach someone. And that's what happened at the Femmes and Thems event, is I went up and I was like, hey, I really appreciate a great person with great style, because I liked her outfit. And so it wasn't the, hey, I think you're pretty, which was a little bit, the second level, but I at least started with, okay, everybody likes a good compliment. So if I can at least give them a compliment that's not necessarily me trying to be very forward with them, that's at least, how can someone say no? They could just say thank you and just see kind of where the conversation goes. And that's kind of what happened in that first experience. Was I was like, just compliment her on her outfit, and then if she continues the conversation, then maybe try testing the waters a little bit. Or if it's just like a very casual thank you, then you can probably end the conversation there.
But that happened to me the first time I like flirt with a girl in public. That's what she said to me. She went up to me, kind of like lightly squeezed my arm and was like, I really like your style. And I was like, fabulous, here's my phone number. So I'm like, this is like Peru, like that would totally, it works. You can start that way.
But
Wow.
I mean, I also like, we talked about this in our last episode too, or somewhere in the flirting or like the dating series, we say like, don't compliment like, hey, I love your pants, because then you go, thanks, I got it online. Mm-hmm. That's like the automatic response. You go, I like really appreciate your style, or like, like you focused on them instead of the object that you were complimenting. So I feel like it's so good. That was probably one of the first dating pieces of advice that I got with TikTok, was like, focus on the person, not the object. So I love that.
Yeah. And I will say, practice does make perfect, because that first time when I said, hey, I really appreciate a great person with style, the way that happened was exactly this. Hey, I appreciate a good person with style. And just kind of sat there and was literally panicking inside. And I was like, shit, that should have been smoother. But the second time that I did it, I was way more confident in approaching this person. So it definitely, putting yourself out there, even if it's like a simple, at the bar or at a store, and just being like, hey, nice outfit. The more that you put yourself out there, the confidence will build. And especially someone who can speak to having social anxiety, literally just keep going at it.
Can we also talk, because I'm so curious, especially like to hear the story of what motivated you to get off the apps and like what that moment was, because I think for some people they may want to, or they don't know that maybe they should hop off.
Yeah, so for me, I mean, part of it was a digital detox. I mean, most of my job and what I do is social media, is being on my phone. And I just kind of realized from like a lifestyle shift that I really want to avoid being off my phone more. And so with that came the apps. And also just in general, I just found myself either trying to go on a date with someone just to go on a date with them, being really excited and getting attached too easily. And I will say, sometimes I don't agree with my mom, but one of the things that my mom said that I have been taking her advice on is meeting people organically. And that has helped from all aspects of anxiety. I mean, if we want to even go into attachment styles, like I'm someone who naturally has like a more anxious style of attachment, but have been working on therapy to be more secure. And meeting someone organically helps one lower that anxiety so much, and also has changed the perspective of how I'm dating, of being more intentional and not putting as much pressure that, oh, this one has to be the one and I have to impress them and I have to make them like me and do all the things.
And I love that because I mean, because I also am anxious, and I sometimes I was like, oh, the apps help with that, but in so many ways it can amplify it, because you're like, they're not responding to me, are they looking, are they seeing? But if you're approaching somebody in a room, it's just kind of like, fuck it, you know.
Right.
Wow.
But I mean, I feel like it also, like, it helps you in more than just I'm going to approach somebody. It's like I'm improving my self-confidence, I'm helping my social anxiety. Like, there's so many benefits. Because I personally I talked about this in a different episode, but I would get so nervous trying to approach people in public that I really like the apps, because one, people come with a resume.
Yes. Yes, for sure.
Yes, right? And so when you approach somebody in person, you don't know. An example of this is I got somebody's number at a bar, and then they picked me up, and like, no hate if this is your lifestyle, it's just not for me, but they showed up and they had like a bunch of wet cigarettes all over their car. And I was like, oh, if I had known that you had smoked, I don't think I would have swiped right? Mm-hmm. But you just don't know that when you're approaching somebody in person. But there is you do get a better vibe on somebody when you approach somebody in person, right?
Yeah.
Because you see them move, you see them talking, you see them laughing, and you don't see that in your curated resume that you get.
Right. I mean, I personally think, at least as far as my experience with the apps, like, yes, you do get a resume, but there's a lot of things that go behind closed doors that you don't see. I mean, I won't say these people's names for their own privacy, but there's some things whether it's like actually showing up for plans and committing to plans is like a really big thing for me. And even though their interest and our hobbies and like intellectual perspectives were the same, that's reciprocity for me in a relationship is really important. And that's a huge need that I've been looking for in a partner as I've been dating. And that was something that you typically don't see in a prompt, or you don't see in a profile. And also on top of that, there's this like very philosophical perspective, like, oh, to find your partner is like a life goal, right? And everybody's about building success and getting to their goal faster. But I've found that if I take things, or let the wind take me wherever it goes, there's just a lot less pressure to like find my person so fast. Whereas I feel like dating on the apps can really speed up that process, or have this like unprecedented pressure to go fast.
You're so right. Because when you meet somebody organically, you're like, hey, I really like you. Let's see where this goes. There's no pressure. We don't even have to date. I just think your style is awesome.
Yeah.
For real. Yeah.
And then sometimes, which it has happened, is if the date doesn't go like well, at least like romantically, you still get a great queer friend out of it. There have been people that I have actually gone on like 1 or 2 dates with, and then they haven't necessarily worked out, but I still talk to them like as acquaintances or friends, and I prefer that. And I'm like, great people in your circle, as y'all were talking about making queer friends. I mean, don't do it solely through dating, but it is, is a great way, if you don't have a lot of queer friends and you're also dating at the same time, it can, kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Totally. And especially if you meet somebody online, I feel like I have a couple of people, and you have a couple of people that you're friends with after meeting them on a dating app. But I do feel like exactly what you said. There's this pressure of like, okay, we met on an app, we have to date or we have to not, right? Because it adds like a layer of interesting.
Where like there's so much about compatibility that is done through action and through interaction. And I think sometimes like when, yeah, on paper, sure, but it does require that. But when you've swiped, what is it, right? Oh, I don't know my lefts and my rights. So I'm always like, when you swipe left and say yes, and Amanda's like, that's not the right one. Right? All of a sudden you're like, am I engaged to you now? Right? And it's like, no, that's literally not it. You could still meet up and just decide to be pals.
Right.
Yeah. You know?
And a very important thing that's really important to me in dating is being able to hold a conversation. A lot of times I find myself always asking the questions, and it kind of helps because I'm already a podcaster, so I know how to keep a conversation fairly well. But I don't want to be doing all the work. I need some back and forth. And that is something like, yes, you could, on apps be good at texting, but texting only gets you so far, because then when you actually start talking in person, sometimes you feel, or a lot of times I actually know, not only myself but my friends who feel like when they actually go on a date with someone that they've been texting and having a good vibe, completely different person.
For sure. And I always tell Allison, like, I really like, I mean, I'm going back to dating apps now, but like I really liked voice notes, because you could tell so much about a person by their intonation, by their cadence of speaking, like how they talk. And so yes, like meeting in person, you get to know like their voice and like their nonverbal cues that they give you, which is also such a huge indicator for like, are we gonna get along?
Yeah. And I've even found that like, on my side of dating without the apps, I have already met this person once. It's not like I'm waiting 2 weeks for that first date, or even trying to figure out when the first date is going to happen. Yes. Like, are we going to be pen pals? Are we not? I've already interacted with this person, and at least from my perspective, talking to the people that I have met without the apps, there's actually better communication in my personal experience.
Ooh, how so? Like what
more
about
consistent communication, actually. There's been a couple people that I've talked to that do actually text me regularly. Not that I necessarily require it, because I'm a fairly busy person, but that will text me or that will call me, and just be like a little bit more consistent about like check-ins, like, hey, how's your day going? Or, hey, I know we haven't talked in a while, like, well, when do you want to get together next? Instead of just kind of being in this weird like tango of like, are they going to text me back? Like, do they even like me? Or how long is this going to last? Well, obviously they're kind of into you if you've already made it past that first stage and got their number. So that almost makes things a little bit more exciting, because there's like more mystery involved. I
honestly feel this so hard. When you're talking about like the people that you were approaching in person, you were talking about like basically queer events, right? I'm so curious if you've approached people outside of queer events, like in the wild, how they're queer, or if you just go for it, or like what do you do in those situations?
So that's been something I've been working on. It's definitely a lot easier in queer events, because it's kind of already known that most of the people in this space are queer. As far as out in the wild, I do test the waters just a wee bit. Actually, I do have a very funny story. When I went home for Christmas, I was with my brother at a Barnes and Noble, and this cashier was just like, oh, I think I was getting the Bananagrams game. And she was like, oh, I really love this pouch or something. I was like, yeah, like, I just got Bananagrams because I played it with my friend Amanda, and I really want it for myself. And so we just like at the checkout at Barnes and Noble, and I'm just like starting and chatting this person up of like, oh, how's your day going? And it's a very small 2-3 minute interaction. And then my brother, after we leave Barnes and Noble, is like, Amanda, you didn't have to flirt with her, okay?
Gays love the books. Queers love books.
We went around and passed out like stickers at bookstores, coffee shops, and
there is nothing better to flirt over than Bananagrams.
Yeah.
So I definitely the way that I approach that there is because I'm not 100% sure if they're queer or not. I'm a little bit more on the safe side. Of course, if that was a longer interaction, I would have asked a little bit more leading questions to figure out if they're queer. One of the easiest things that I'll say is, oh yeah, my ex-girlfriend, or Or yeah, actually, my tattoo, actually that's really a good one, is when people are like, oh, what are your tattoos? Well, I definitely have a big lesbian symbol engraved on my skin.
Gay.
So if that doesn't tell you I'm gay, I don't know what else does. But there are some clues that I'll kind of filter into the conversation to kind of see if their response is, oh, cool, I'm queer too, or, oh, yeah, ally. And I'm like, cool.
You went, Roger that, heard, understood. We were literally at Book People today handing out stickers, and we were like, we have like a Sapphic podcast, and the person we handed the sticker, or we were talking to about the stickers, looked at us and took a moment and went, oh, good, I am Sapphic too.
They
We were like,
they're like,
hooray!
can I have a sticker because and then they like glanced at their coworker and they're like, I'm Sapphic. And so it's like we're everywhere, especially in bookshops and coffee shops.
Mm-hmm.
But I love like the leading thing, right? Because I think because
Yes.
we were like, we have a Sapphic podcast. Now she was like, oh, well, hello.
Yeah,
Yeah,
normally
me.
that's kind of one of those things, is like if you make yourself known and like kind of slide in a statement, more than likely you're gonna get some sort of response that will tell you if they're queer or not.
That's so smart.
I try not to like stereotype people, especially when I'm out in the wild. So even if I'm seeing someone with a beanie and a flannel, I'm not going to automatically assume that they're gay. But it does give me a little bit more confidence to approach someone, you know, dressing up that's like tatted up, or I don't know, whatever
Yes.
the stereotypes are.
Honestly, okay, there are so many queer stereotypes, but when I was like new to queerness, I was like, I need to like refine my gay radar. My gaydar needs to be refined. So I would literally go around and I'd be like, okay, I'm looking for someone with carameter, gay. Okay. Like a certain haircut.
check.
Yes, a certain haircut, dressing a certain way, wearing
Right.
Doc Martens, you know, or
Yes.
like what other?
Oh my god. 2 short nails, everything else long.
Oh yeah, 2 short nails.
Oh goodness, I'm forgetting
A
everything.
queer tattoo.
Oh, we
yeah.
were told to keep an eye out for double nose piercings, like a septum and a nose
yes,
ring.
I did hear about that
We
one.
were like, okay, noted.
Oh yeah, colored hair. Apparently, so I had super blue hair for 7 years before I chopped it and went back to natural.
Which is like lighting the queer beacons.
Yes, and I didn't know. Every time I looked in the mirror, I was like, just straight things. Like,
Which is crazy, because I think I saw like an old picture like on your Facebook or something that you'd posted. And if I knew you back then, I would have assumed you were queer.
that is the funniest thing, because nobody did. Or that, or I didn't even realize that people were hitting on me. You know what I mean?
But wait, this brings up because you have a shirt that is like
My favorite shirt.
What is it? What does it say? Something about flirt with me.
Yes, it says, oblivious to flirting, please be blunt.
It's the most incredible shirt I've ever seen. It have you worn it and people have come up to you?
Yes, I actually wore it
No
at
way.
one
Yes.
of my shows.
No way.
One of my drum shows, I did actually
Because
wear
Amanda's
it.
a drummer.
Because I wanted to see. I will say, we were on 6th Street and it was attracting the wrong audience, but it was working. I
wait.
did have a bunch of straight men come up to me, but that was not the point. But that shirt does work, and so I am trying to actually bring that shirt into more queer spaces. Because it's kind of like a Where's Waldo thing, where it kind of just puts yourself right out there. It just starts the conversation for you.
It has the audacity.
Yes.
So do you feel like you've gotten better at being able to identify when somebody's flirting with you?
Oh, no. I'm still working on that. I'm gonna say the gayest shit ever, but I'm a Gemini, and most of the time it's one of those things where it's like, if you think I'm flirting with you, I'm being really friendly, but if I'm weird, I'm definitely flirting with you.
Oh yeah.
And I kind of assume when someone's being forward with me, they're just being friendly.
And really, they're like, give me your phone number.
Yes,
And you're
which
like,
is why I have to give that shirt. I was like, that shirt explains me perfectly. Please, like, you're gonna have to give me like 3 to 4 obvious things that you're flirting with me. Otherwise, I'm not gonna pick it up. I'm just gonna assume that we're great friends and like be like, haha, like awesome, you're pretty cool.
You're like married with a family, and you're like, we're pals, right? They're like, no, I like you.
Okay, you said I need 3 to 4 flirting signs. I think we can flip that on its head. What are those 3 to 4 flirting signs that people can use?
Yes,
to
so
flirt?
I mean, this is a given, but eye contact,
Yeah.
which I know is hard for some people who have like a lot of anxiety. biggest one for me is physical touch. Like if it's just like even if you're laughing, you're just like slapping the knee. It's like
I
that's
love
so
an
fun.
arm squeeze.
Yes.
I'm like, squeeze my arm. If you tell me that, I'm like, green light. I'm like, here's my phone number.
Yes.
Yes.
And then third is a compliment. And sometimes even past that, it's more than one compliment. Not just the, oh, I like your shirt, but it's like, oh, you have really pretty eyes. Like,
There we go.
wow.
Yeah, it's so good.
And then I would probably say the last one is just asking questions. I love when people ask me questions, mostly because I'm always the one asking questions. But if someone genuinely shows interest in you, they want to know about your life. So it's not just a, hey, how's it going? Or like the typical, get past the, oh, how long have you been in Austin for? Get towards the, oh, like, what do you do for your job? Oh, what made you passionate about that? Or, oh, do you have like pets? Like, oh my gosh, like, tell me the story behind how you got your animals. I would love to hear that. So those I would probably say are the main four. Anything kind of past that or anything necessarily outside of that, for me, I kind of treat as like, oh, you're a person wanting to be my friend, and I will treat this as a very platonic conversation. But I will say a big one for sure is definitely the physical touch. I mean, besides quality time being my love language, physical touch is my second. And for me, especially when I'm flirting with other women, I will definitely be like, oh, can I see your rings? That's a really good one.
Oh,
Because then you can hold their hand.
That's so.
you heard it here first. Whoa,
That's
that's so
good.
smart. Mine is the tattoo tours.
Mm.
People would be like, I love your tattoos. And then like it's like, touch my arm. Like, I
Yeah.
dare you. Like, yeah, that's okay. Brilliant.
Yeah, mine was like a lot of I love your hair, but I would get that so much from everybody. So like people would be like, I love your hair, and then they would touch my hair, and then I would get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So I'd be like, please don't touch my hair.
Yeah, so at least like the, oh, let me show you my rings is like, it gives you a chance to hold their hand, which can be kind of romantic.
Yes.
But it also, in a way, it's a little less intrusive than touching your hair.
Because hair is very personal.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Even sometimes like an arm squeeze, like at least for me, I have to be a little bit more deep in the conversation to feel comfortable with that. But like a hand, if someone were to touch my hand, I mean, people have their own preferences, but yeah, looking at rings and just like lightly touching the fingers is like a good entry point.
It reminds me of like Jane Austen, like they brush shoulders. Nobody breathes, like the hands gently.
Kind of a bonus one, going on top of that is if you're like sitting at a bar or even standing, let's say, even just the inch of moving closer to someone that creates less space in between you is a really good one as well, because if someone's slightly backing away from me, that's an obvious sign that they're either one, uncomfortable, or two, not interested.
Yeah, but as they say in The Little Mermaid, body language. Like it tells you a lot of things.
Why
Like
do they say that?
Ursula is like talking to Ariel because she's lost her voice, and she's like, okay, do you not know this clip?
I think I'm remembering. It's when they're in her cave.
This was like a viral meme like years ago, and it's literally Ursula like shimmying her tits out, being like, you gotta use body language.
Why do I forget this scene?
Oh my gosh, I literally
so
watched the movie and I was like, I can't believe
we'll
that's
look at this
it.
afterwards. That's
Yeah.
the funniest thing.
Anyways, take your advice from The Little Mermaid.
Or don't.
Or don't.
Oh my god. Okay, I'm trying to think of other things, because I love starting with queer events, because you don't have to do the guesswork, right? You go to a queer event, especially for singles, right? We have
Sapphic singles.
We have Sapphic singles. It's like an event. They do an event either like monthly or something, and you show up. It's a bunch of Sapphic singles, and you can just hit on people, and they have cute little things where you can leave people anonymous messages, and they call them out on their story. It's the coolest thing. And then obviously the like pitch your friend events. So there are things, at least in Austin.
Yeah,
for
the
sure.
Femmes and Thems had a speed dating thing where you literally only had 4 minutes to get to know like 16 people. And let me tell you, as someone with a lot of social anxiety, that was a lot. But one, you get really good at your elevator pitch, which is why now I know I lead with, I'm a drummer. It gets the ladies going, just saying.
Okay,
I'm
wait.
dead.
I want to know about a time when you like approached somebody and it didn't work, and like what happened? How did you recover?
I would say, okay,
Or does the drummer thing just always
the drummer
work?
thing kind of always works unless they're also a drummer. Not that I've technically not. I mean, I know a lot of women drummers who are gay in the field of work that I do because I work in the music industry, but I'm not necessarily hitting on them. So I wouldn't necessarily count that, but I would say for the most part, every time that I've said a drummer, it really, you see the eyes light up. I actually had the Femmes and Thems speed dating event where I led with that, and I kid you not, they said, I'm in love with you already, and put my name down. And I was like, oh, I only said that one sentence and you didn't even tell me your name yet. So here we are.
So I think if we've learned anything,
Step 1, become a drummer.
become
a drummer. Absolutely.
Never be single ever again.
Which is kind of crazy that I am a drummer and I'm still single to this
Yeah,
day.
what the heck, people? Come
what's
on.
going on?
We are
Well,
back to Pitch Amanda.
Well, this is the thing that I will always say, and I did use it in my dating apps, but now I definitely use it on a first date that gets mixed reviews. But I always say the best review of my therapist, you can definitely fact check this from her, is Amanda's a fucking catch. We need to find her a fucking catch. Until the day I die, I will keep saying that as my motto.
I mean, if your therapist reviewed, like 5-star therapist reviewed, like something's working out. The drumming, it's going well.
Yeah.
Truly. I mean, yeah. Okay. Do you have a story where it didn't work out?
No.
We love that.
I'm being so real with you right now.
And then it went, nobody.
But also, I will say on top of that, like most of the people that I have gone on dates with, I'm fairly picky. So it's not like I'm going around town and leading with that all the time. Like now I've more recently over the last couple of months have led with that. But before it's quite a while until someone figures out I'm a drummer.
Okay, but like if you have something that works to get people's attention, use it, right?
Absolutely. And most people, it's either the drummer or it's the accomplished podcast / media person. So it's either the career or it's the hobby. So that's normally the hook for me.
Because it's something you earned too. Mm-hmm. And it's not like, I think some people get worried that that's bragging, but you like worked hard for this. So like share it, like, and you're proud of it, you know, share what you're proud of about yourself. Like,
yeah, if anything, one of the things like that I look for in a partner is confidence is super sexy. And as someone who has literally worked on confidence for the longest time, I mean, heck, self-love and self-confidence is the whole reason why I have all these tattoos on my left arm. That's something that is really, really big, is like the more confidence that someone can show is like I find really attractive.
And I think that's so good about your story, Amanda, so sorry, confusing, is that it shows like people that you can build that confidence. I think sometimes we think that, oh, that confident person that I imagine that I see is just part of them, like they just were born that way. Mm-hmm. But I think a lot of confidence is through practice, and it's earned, like, and it's through, you know, trial and error. And so it's really exciting to see your whole journey of like somebody with social anxiety being able to do a 16-person speed dating event and not like imploding, you know?
Oh yeah, definitely. I've gotten better at, I don't want to say necessarily masking the social anxiety, but just like learning how to overcome it. Because definitely, I will tell you, after that speed dating event, I went home. I was like, that was a lot of socializing for one day. I just need to like be home with my dog, cuddle with her, and like sleep it off. But yes, absolutely, like putting yourself out there and building the confidence. Like a lot of people that I tell, that I have social anxiety are actually quite surprised because I don't come off that way.
Oh, I mean, well, and again, that's like a testament to you working at it, though. You know, it doesn't mean it's not real and that, you know, you're taking care of yourself in the way that you need to, but that's awesome.
I mean, I also grew up with social anxiety, and like I also have social anxiety, and again, people are like, I would have never guessed. And I always tell people, like, shout out to my dad, because my dad also had anxiety. And so when I was growing up, and I would tell Allison this, but like when I was growing up, I would have so much anxiety about talking to people. So he would practice. He'd be like, okay, Amanda, let's get on the phone. You're going to order us pizza. And I would freak out because I was so nervous to talk to anyone on the phone. But we would just practice and practice and practice. And so I love that. Like, one of the first things that you said was like, you just have to keep practicing approaching people. Yeah.
Yeah. I will say, actually, Dan yesterday, talking about the girl that I went up to at Rain, he was like, what are you gonna say? And I was like, oh yeah. And so that's why I was like, I'm probably gonna say something like, hey, this is really hard for me, but I think you're cute. And so even, have yourself a good friend. Like, if you're afraid to put yourself out there, like, just having another person there with you to kind of help, like, walk you through the steps, like, just practice with that friend real quick before actually doing it makes the process so much easier.
Oh yeah, I mean, I remember the first person I gave my number to in real life. I had a group of friends with me, and I like sat in the car with me because I was gonna leave without doing it, and they were like, no. They pulled out paper, pulled out their own pens, and it was like a hype session, and then they like yeeted me out the door. But that, I'm like, use the buddy system, like lean on your community, because they want you to succeed too. Like, come on, Dan.
Honestly, okay, I actually have a story of a very failed attempt at getting somebody's number.
Oh.
So I was downtown Austin, and there was this person who looked super gay, like hair cut into a mohawk. They were wearing like baggy clothes. They had the nose ring. They had the Doc Martens, and their friend that they were with also looked queer. They had super short hair. So I was like, gay. I think they are so beautiful. So I like missed my chance. Because, okay, first of all, I will say, past Amanda and anybody listening, make sure that wherever you're trying to pick up on somebody is like appropriate to pick up on them. Because I saw them in it was basically like a work conference room at my friend's apartment complex. It was like this co-working space in their apartment complex. So like she was there working. And so probably not the best place to like pick up on somebody.
You're like, hi, I know you're in the middle of a Zoom meeting, but
On a conference call.
Can you imagine? That's the funniest shit.
but I just wanted to say that I think you're really beautiful.
In a gay way.
In a gay way.
No, okay. So I'm very proud that I did not actually approach her while she was like pitching something, but I was looking at her, I was like, you're so beautiful. Anyways, what I did is I ended up going down with my friends to the coffee shop portion, and I actually saw her friend, and I went up to her friend and I was like, hey, quick question, is your friend single and is your friend queer? Because I think she's beautiful. And her friend goes, oh, she's actually married to a man with 2 kids. And I go, oh, okay, great. First of all, not obviously open and single. Second of all, maybe she's bisexual, but like, I'm so glad I didn't approach her because that would have been like super embarrassing. But I really like the approach that I took in that I went to her friend when I wasn't sure, right?
Yeah.
Like there's all these queer signals or whatever, our queer stereotypes, whatever. But going up to a friend and asking like, hey, what's the scoop? And then I got turned down and I was like, cool. And you know what? I went home and I was like, I'm so proud of myself because that was hard.
Oh yeah.
To do that. That was one of the first times that I like went up to somebody and was like interested in them in person.
Right.
And so yeah, I was like, I'm kind of proud of myself. That could have been slightly embarrassing, but it didn't happen, so it's all good.
Yeah, and to that point, like, I know it's easier said than done, but like, don't be afraid of rejection.
Yes.
Like, and that was actually kind of one of the things that scared me about the picture friend. I literally told my therapist, I was like, there's gonna be hundreds of people showing up to this picture friend, which could be great, like in terms of 50 people would like me. That's a high number, but I was like, there's also 200 no's. So and then she was like, man, I don't think that way. but also even in approaching people, I have gotten, at least let's just say like from a text standpoint, where I have texted people and try like setting up a date and they're like, hey, just to like be forward, like I'm actually picking up a platonic vibe from you, I don't want to lead you on. And I 100%, even though like that was quote unquote rejection, I was like, thank you for being like communicative. Like communication is so important. And even through me, yes, most of my experiences have been fairly positive as far as approaching people. Like one of these days I am gonna get that no, or like multiple no's. And
when you stop being a drummer.
Yeah, when I stop being a drummer.
No, then they're gonna find out you're a drummer and they're gonna go, never mind, I'm kidding. I take it back.
I can't date drummers.
Yeah.
But even then, there have been other situations where I have either gotten friend zoned or it just hasn't worked out. And also being comfortable with rejection is not necessarily the worst thing in the world, because like people are gonna say no. It's just a part of life. And what has helped me is like, the cliche thing of every no is closer to that one yes. And that's kind of the mindset that I've taken, is instead of me trying to like find the person that I'm supposed to be with, that person will come to me, and life is just, get moving people in and out of the way for me. And that's kind of the perspective that I've tried to have on dating now, which is help lower anxiety, help lower that pressure. And also I've just approached relationships a lot slower, which has really helped a lot.
Yeah. And I love that. Like, you're like, I am not going to put the pressure on dating. I'm just going to keep doing me, and my person is going to come to me. And I forget what it's like, what is it? Attraction theory? No. It's like there's some fancy word for it, where it's like, if you just stand in your power and go around and like be passionate about what you're doing every step of the way, like your person's going to meet you in your power.
Right. And on top of that too, there's another dating, I listen to a lot of dating and relationship podcasts, and one of the biggest pieces of advice is, instead of trying to like move things out of the way to make the date for this person, like, this person is just an addition to your life. And if this person is going to be a part of your life, like, offer, instead of doing this fancy dinner date or trying to do this extravagant thing to impress them, like, for me, I now invite people to walk with me and my dog, because that is a part of my daily routine.
So good.
And so I'm like, if you cannot just like enjoy the peacefulness of me walking with my dog, then you're probably not the right person with me. And again, that helps lower the anxiety of trying to meet them in this point where it's like, oh, we're gonna go through the honeymoon phase, because when you actually get down to the nitty-gritty of the relationship, you're just gonna like be going to the grocery store and doing everyday things. And then that's why people say the spark goes away, right? And so it's like, no, instead of, yes, of course, go on fun dates. I'm not telling you not to go on fun dates, but definitely go on more dates that are kind of more regularly a part of your daily routine, and that will really help dwindle down if this person can fit into your life or not.
That's what I started doing right before I met Amanda. Is people would meet me at, like, we would just get like small coffee dates at places that I'd like to hang out at, and it immediately taught me, because one, I felt like I was one of those people who I would go on like a 3-day long first date. I was the lesbian. Yeah. I'm like, we're basically gonna live together. I've known you for 24 hours. Like, yes. Like, let's go, right? And I think there's such beauty in that excitement, but also I think you get so swept up in those activities that like you're not really listening. Mm-hmm. And so when we were able to sit down for maybe 2 hours at like my favorite coffee shop, and like I would bring a book to read, because I have to get to places early to manage my anxiety, or else I'm going to be like off the rails. And then we'd talk about the book and just have like, can we have a nice chill 2 hours together? Yes. Then maybe on the second date, we're going to go like a little harder, but it was a really great way to be like, oh, like, how do you fit into my life without like the grand gesture,
right? Yeah, dating, and on top of that, it's like, because you don't know much about this person, you're putting, a lot of people online can be like, oh, if they wanted to, they would be like, oh, a coffee date is cheap, like I should be pampered. But like, I don't think of it that way. I think of okay, well, since I don't know this person, I don't owe them anything, so I'm putting a small investment in them, whether it's buying them a $5 coffee, right? And then from there, then you can, maybe up the investment a little bit more, of going on more fun dates. But I definitely kind of agree to your point of like, yeah, let's start small, and then if we vibe, then we can continue to build on that momentum versus investing everything all up front.
Yeah, for sure. It makes me think about like that again is kind of like your story about dating in person. It's just starting small, a no pressure, hi, I really like your style. Yeah. And then just seeing like the little building blocks there that can lead to like a really beautiful picture in the long term.
Yeah. Also, speaking from experience, dating is so expensive. I looked at my budget the last couple of months that I've been dating, and I was like, I am spending so much money on people that didn't work out for me. And so now, just being more financially responsible and, taking the new approach of like doing some coffee dates, or maybe let's going on a picnic, and there's so many fun dates that you can do that aren't like $200 up front. That has been like really helpful overall with also letting this person into my life naturally versus trying to like wow them.
Yeah, I mean, so our first like 3 dates were so chill. Like one of them was like a really, really, really long walk.
I mean, that was my go-to. Like, you went to coffee shops, you took your dog on a walk. I literally, there's this huge park called Zilker in Austin where they throw ACL. And I would just take people on walks around Zilker because there's like a little trail around it. And that, I really liked that because there's like no pressure, there's a finite end to it. Right. But then also, like, if we're having a great time, I did like 3 loops one time with somebody. And so it just like, I really like the low pressure date as well. Yeah.
Also, this is semi not really related to dating, but like even when we were like getting to know each other more, we would just walk at Mueller, and that was great with the little loop and everything.
Yes,
so it's great for friendships too.
Yes, you got 2 like walking people over here. Yes, exactly.
You walkers. I'm like, let's sit and have a nice beverage. Y'all are like, get your walking shoes on.
Yes.
Also, I don't really work out, and so being active and also walking in general helps with mental health. So even if you have a lot of social anxiety, being able to walk and talk to someone at the same time, it helps create that low pressure environment.
I love it. I think we're pretty good. Do we want to do a little summary?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay, other Amanda. I'm just kidding. Okay, we're not just being super rude. Amanda literally sat down on this couch. The first words out of her mouth, she was like, "You know what would be really funny is if you introduced me as other Amanda." Sorry to throw you under the bus. But like, I don't want to seem like people are.
Oh no, I love it. As soon as I heard y'all's first episode, and they're like, "Yeah, we're talking to other Amanda," and at the podcast launch party, I'm like, "Hello, I'm other Amanda." So I was like, from now on this podcast, I'll just be known as other Amanda. That's
It's just so funny. We've met so many Amandas lately. Okay,
so many.
Segue. Okay, summary. So approaching people at queer events is amazing.
Yes.
Confidence is something that you can build if you're starting off and you're a little anxious and you're wanting to get off apps for the first time. It sounds like practice helps.
Yes. Yep. And also just having people in your corner. It doesn't even have to be big. It can be one person to like kind of help you along the way. Really, really helps with the confidence building, because you're definitely not alone.
No.
If you could say something to you right when you were deciding to get off the apps, what would that piece of advice be?
Oh man. I would tell myself to trust myself. I think a lot of times in like various relationships, I've kind of like been in this weird state where I'm not sure if I trust my decisions, and more with the confidence building, I know that with me being picky and approaching dating, I trust the decisions that I'm making in terms of knowing what's right for myself, being in my own power, and also just kind of letting life throw whatever it wants at me without having this like weird anxiety. So it would definitely be to trust myself and know that no matter what happens, I'm gonna be okay.
That's
Yay.
so good. That's literally such good advice.
So you're gonna be okay.
You're gonna be okay.
It's gonna be okay. Yay. Well, thank you so much for being our first guest.
Yes.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Yes, and thank you to everyone who is tuning in, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you're joining us. We really appreciate you hanging out with us, chilling. We hope this was a really good episode and it was helpful. It inspired you to just get out and do it. If you want to support us, Simply Sapphic podcast, you can subscribe on YouTube, really helpful for us, or follow us on Instagram. You can also sign up for our newsletter, which is a really awesome way to just be informed whenever we publish new episodes, especially as like social media is kind of weird and is like basically it takes the power away from the algorithm and puts it on us to reach out to you whenever we publish new episodes. So if you go to our website, simplysapphic.com, and scroll all the way to the bottom, you can put in your name and email, and we'll just send you a single email anytime we publish a new episode.
And on top of it, leave comments. If you are starting to date in person and you got good ideas, you got stories, we'd love to hear these things. So comment, tell us where you're at, tell us what's working, and just let us know how your lives are going.
Yes, I mean, honestly, I posted a post a couple weeks ago about like being sapphic can be complicated. Let's talk about it. And people have been leaving me stories or like us stories on there, and it's just like so cool hearing like how we're all going through all of this stuff together and we're not alone. And so I love the comments. I love the likes, the feedback, anything that you guys can get us. We really appreciate everyone who's tuning in. So thank you so much to Amanda DeFrees, aka the drummer, aka other Amanda, aka like everything else. Thank you for being on. Thank you for fixing our lighting.
You're welcome.
And we'll see you next time, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in.
Be sure to subscribe, follow us on social media,
And share episodes with your friends.
See you next time.